We're live. So I want to wait and see quickly if I get some feedback that people can hear me, because that's always very important. But I would like to start by welcome everybody back to another Crypto Convos. Basically, I want to sit down with people in the space, figure out how they got here, why they got here. And today I have Crypto Wendy on the channel. So welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So give us some background information about, how you got in the space. When's the first time you heard about crypto? Why it interested you and so on.
Okay, so first time I heard about crypto, I had a family member living with me. It was like 2011, probably closer to 2012. And he's like, let me use your credit card to buy Bitcoin. And I was like, what? So I was like, what? This is like way back. And I was like, no, you're not using my credit card to buy Bitcoin. Like, I don't know what this is. This is weird. I'm not going to get hacked. Like, it didn't make sense to me. So come to find out, he used to use Bitcoin to buy actual things, used it for its real use case. So he has a lot of computer parts that don't work anymore that are worth millions of dollars that he used to buy with Bitcoin. So I heard about it then, and then I didn't invest because I didn't know. It was like I was never a real big tech person. Tech always intimidated me. And then I had just had my daughter back. This is moving forward to like 2017. I just had my daughter. She was like about a year. I was going back to work, or I'm pretty sure I was like in work, or I was on weekend break or something. But I kept telling my husband, I need to do something different with my life. Like something needs to change. So I kept hearing about Bitcoin on conservative radio, or not conservative, on libertarian radio. And I was like, okay, this is awesome. So I was like, I'm just going to invest and see what happens. Like people are out here making money, not necessarily with crypto or Bitcoin, but I've seen people make money from stocks and all that type of stuff. So I kind of got interested. So then I invested, and then the price dropped like $2,000 the week after. And I was like, what did I do? This is crazy.
Yeah.
And then it was so much fun, like just to see the volatility of the price, because it was November 2017, and then things started going parabolic from there. So it was really exciting. And then I realized, okay, people are able to trade this like stocks. It was similar. So then I learned how to chart, and I made a little bit of money trading, and it was fun. Like it just became fun. And then once you get into crypto, you just start learning and, falling down the rabbit hole and doing all kinds of stuff. So
yeah, that's definitely what I did too. But I started with wanting to trade, which was really, really not the best place for me to start. But when you got in and you saw the price drop to 2,000, was that drop $2,000? Was that about the time it hit like 900?
No, it was I bought in when I paid $7,000, and I bought like $1,000 worth of
Okay.
Bitcoin. And then so it was like $7,000, and then it dumped from $7,000. It was right when SegWit was happening, because I was like,
Okay.
what the hell is SegWit? I didn't know what it was. I was like kind of confused. I just knew that it was really fun and exciting. It was digital currency, and went from $7K to like $5,000, and I was like,
yeah, because I got
and then
in,
it shot back up.
that's always what it freaking does. But I got in, and it was like, I want to say 2,000 or 3,000. And then it dropped to like 900 or $1,000, and everybody was panicking. And I'm like, well, I guess if I don't sell anything, I don't lose anything. And then the price jumped to like, I don't know, probably $6,000 after that. And I was like, okay, but I didn't sell. So obviously, I think that's always ends up what happens.
Yep.
So you do a lot of technical analysis on Twitter. How was that the thing that you started to get into?
So before I got into crypto, I wanted to learn more about stocks, because I saw people like day trading, and like I started, because I'm still in college. I've been in college for like a million years, because it's really hard working a full-time job and commuting and being in school. And then on top of it, I was in a STEM major at the time. And when you're in a STEM major, you have to take labs, and you cannot take labs online. You have to go in and take the labs.
Yep.
So I've been in school for so long. So I kind of got into finance a little bit, and I was like, this is cool. Like, because I started taking business classes and trying, I went from being a bio major to a business major, and I started learning about stocks. And I was like, okay, this is cool. So then I realized that you can trade, like right when I got into crypto, I realized you can trade crypto and Bitcoin the same way you could with stocks. And I was like, why, I can make money doing this, because I was really looking for something that would allow me to be at home and make money when I was home. Because I've had an eBay store. I don't really run it anymore because I don't have time, but I had an eBay store for a really long time to pay for my community college. So I was like, I need to find something so I could work from home. I'm tired of commuting. Anybody that's watching that lives in California, I guarantee you have to commute to work. Like there's no,
same where I am too.
Yeah. So then I just started reading. I bought 2 books. I bought The Idiot's Guide to Technical Analysis and The Dummy's Guide to Candlestick Charting. And I picked it up. And I think I picked it up really well because I have a like a AS or something in math. I took like 8 math classes. So it's just it's literally the same thing. It's like repetition. It's the same thing over and over again. Like anytime you do a math equation, you're looking for like a couple things and then you plug everything in and then you pump it out. Same thing with charting.
I'm always impressed by people that can do TA, and especially TA like you and Danny from Crypto 99. I feel like you guys actually know what you're talking about. Like
Thanks.
I just have always been so intimidated. So what was your background? You said you were in a STEM major. What were you doing before?
Okay, so I worked for the largest HIV/AIDS nonprofit in the world. So
Wow,
I
that's
did that
awesome.
for 7 years. I worked in healthcare. I'm actually a licensed pharmacy technician, but I did more patient coordination. So we would get patients that would come in and they would need guidance as far as helping with insurance, helping with adherence, helping with dealing with all this stuff that's happening. So, because I was a licensed pharmacy technician, they don't really make a whole lot of money. So I was in school to become a pharmacist because they start off at like 100,000 a year. But then I found out, okay, if I want to be a pharmacist, I need like 8 years of school, plus it's going to be like $300,000. So I'm not going to do this.
Yeah, I had a friend actually growing up that was extremely intelligent, was going to school to do that. Ended up getting a job being like a chemist for Pepsi. So she like makes drinks now instead, which she really likes. I ask
Right.
because when you're talking about taking labs in college, I have a bachelor's in science in nutrition and dietetics. I'm actually a dietitian.
Nice.
So it's funny because I commuted through school constantly and was always taking labs and was always like working multiple jobs and stuff. So I hear a lot of what you're saying and that resonates with me.
Yeah, and I mean, at least like I'm in California because where I was commuting 3 hours
Oh,
round trip to get to and from work. It was 4 times a week, and I would leave my house at like 5:30 in the morning, and I wouldn't get home till like 8:30 at night because of the commute, and I was
yeah.
working 10-hour shifts. So so crypto's kind of really helped. It's helped me because I make money, in crypto. I don't have to do that anymore, but yeah, and trading helps because I'm able to do it on the side. Like, I don't trade all the time. I used to trade a lot more, but it's kind of slowing down a little bit. Number one, because of the market. The market is like, stop losses are getting hit all the time.
Yeah.
And unless I can get into a really, really good setup, I'm not trading because I don't like to lose money.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you. That actually kind of leads into my next question, which is like, what are your feelings about the bear market? What do you think is causing the dwindling interest in the space?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff as far as dwindling interest goes. We know that there's the ICO fiasco. There's a lot of scammy projects.
Yeah.
And when I say scammy, it probably was not the right word. I don't think a lot of these projects set out to scam people, to take money from people. I think what happened was they saw this really, really exciting thing. There was a rush, all kinds of stuff. So I think people had really good ideas or thought, okay, well, I can do this on the blockchain. So they did, but they didn't really run them like real businesses, because when you look at real businesses, you have finance people and you have attorneys and you have marketing people, you have multiple, even small businesses. Even if you run a donut shop, you still have to have
Yeah.
some kind of business savvy to do that. And I think a lot of people didn't do that. So I think the ICO thing, I think there's a lot of gray area in the United States regarding regulation, because it's very confusing. There's not a lot of people that know. I mean, I live in LA County, and I was looking for an attorney to help me set up my LLC and help me with my disclaimer on my YouTube channel. I called a couple really big firms that handled SEC law. Nobody knew what cryptocurrency was. So stuff like that, I think as far as the market goes, I think it's part of a market cycle. And I think we're going to start seeing some big gains and at least some type of bullish movement towards the end of 2019.
Yeah, see,
Closer to
I'd have to agree with you. I think it is a market cycle. And I mean, I feel like I say this like every time I live stream, but I haven't been in this space for a very long time, and I don't have any finance background, and I have no experience in stocks. But what I can say from personal experience is exponential growth is not sustainable. It's not possible in any other aspect of life, right? So had to have expected something like this to happen, just for as a natural progression for things to get stronger and come back better. And the point that you make, not running ICOs like businesses, I've actually never thought of that, but that's a very good point. I also think it probably has a lot to do with the fact that people underestimated how confusing the technology is. If you don't have a background in tech, you don't have an idea with coding or anything like that. Like, I would have never, and I know better than to try to get into that because I know it's a little over my head. But I think people just got excited, saw it as like a crowdfunding purpose, and then maybe got in over their head a little bit.
I think too, like I talked to Taylor Monahan at one of the Blockchain Beach events in LA, and she was saying that she was on a panel, and I had spoken with her about this afterward. But she was saying that a lot of the projects just were not need to actually focus on scalability, and she was actually really thankful that we're in a bear market. She's like, because it takes a lot of pressure off the team, because I think when, like, even though they're just kind of in the background doing stuff, I think at the end of the day, when we're in a bear market, there's so much excitement, there's so many things going on, people have money, people are traveling, people are celebrating, people are, wanting to create partnerships and doing things. So it kind of takes some of the energy off of what's going on. So that there's that aspect. But as far as the blockchain, the actual technology behind it, it is complicated. Like sometimes when I read white papers or when I'm looking at projects, I'm like, what are these people talking about? Then I take a step back and I'm like, okay, I'm an average person. I'm probably not going to understand this. I don't understand how credit cards work. I don't understand how the internet works, like how, all that stuff. But I know the basics about it. I know enough to explain it to somebody else. And I think that you can have a really good idea and you can put it on the blockchain, but you need to find somebody that can, you need to find people to kind of partner up with that can kind of help you, because it's very rare in business that you will see one person that is able to start a business from scratch that can do finance, that can do legal, that can do marketing, that can, like, let's say a pie shop, that can bake a pie, that can do all of these things. There's a really good book called The E-Myth, and I forget who the author is, but I read that when I was first getting into trading. But it tells you, if you want to be a successful entrepreneur and you want to start a business, you need to have 3 different personalities: the technician, the manager, and the entrepreneur, because they all have different personalities that deal with different things.
Well, so, and that's why there's teams, right? Because everybody has a strength, and we all can't be expected to do everything all at once, because we're all going to spread ourselves too thin. So, I mean, that's a good point. People probably, you have a lot of people who are tech brained. Like, perfect example, I use Cardano in this sense, because it's so tech heavy, and they're so stuck on making sure that everything is perfect, whereas they don't really have marketing and outreach and PR, and like they're very much lacking in that sense, because it's basically like a bunch of scientists making a project. And then we had like the latter, where we had the ICO craze, where everybody was basically just marketing and pumping and saying all these buzzwords, but there was no actual tech stuff going on in the background, or they just weren't strong enough to really get to where they wanted to be. So yeah, I mean, I think there's, like you said, there's just a lot of variables at play.
Another thing too that I'm noticing is that, there's companies that are hiring, and I think as far as blockchain goes in the future, there's gonna be a lot of really great job opportunities. And I think like if you are in, like, let's say you are finance and your traditional finance, learning a little bit about blockchain tech, like even if it's just you're learning, the basics of it, or watching YouTube videos, whatever, just knowing the basics of it, and then bringing those basic skills into the space, and then working at a company that is looking for somebody in finance, that's going to be a big plus, because you're going to understand I'm trying to think of the right word, but you're going to understand really what the flow is, because the personalities in tech and crypto are different than the personalities in healthcare, are different than the personalities that are dietitians and or owning a donut shop, or all that type of stuff. So you need to be able to understand, people. And different personalities are really, really important.
Personalities and communication. And in this day and age, everything is digital, and it can be a little bit more difficult to kind of get a feel for somebody, especially if everybody's working online or working in satellite areas or whatever. Finding people that you work well in a successful manner, I think, is very important. So have you noticed like a decrease in interest in TA? Because you have a significant amount of followers on Twitter. And obviously you tweet about other things, but technical analysis is a pretty big part of what you do. So have you seen a decrease in people engaging with you or interest in what you're doing?
Well, I do notice, and this is kind of funny, I do notice when we start to get a little pump in the market, the trolls and the worms start coming out and start criticizing my TA. So I'm like, okay, then this means that I can kind of gauge sentiment with that. It's kind of funny, but I host crypto. I can't talk. I host crypto meetups, and I do them. I used to do like a TA meetup over the summer, and I used to get between 15 and 20 people that would come, and that was awesome. And then as we continued to decrease, it was like, it was like 10 people, and then it was like 7 people, and it was like 5 people. So I just don't do them too much anymore because I have to drive like about an hour and a half to do it, which I don't mind giving my time to the community and teaching and all that stuff, but I'm not going to drive that far because I have a 2-year-old too. So it takes time from her. But yeah, definitely with the market, there is a decrease. And I know once we get more bullish in the market, people are going to want to learn again. But in all actuality, if anybody's watching this and you're interested in learning technical analysis, now is the time to do it. Now is the time to paper trade. Now is the time to learn, because once it's harder to trade. It's doable to trade in a bear market, but it's harder because the way our market works, mostly our alts right now are correlated with what Bitcoin's doing. So you have to chart Bitcoin and you have to chart our alts and all different types of stuff. So take the time and learn now, because it's easier to trade in a bull run. I did okay trading in a bull run, and now like my stops get hit all the time. So
yeah, it's way easier. And I think that's the other problem too, is people got in a market that was just surging. So, and I use this example when I was talking to Crypto Daily, that you could just like throw a dart at a board and 10x whatever you were doing, whatever trade, whatever ICO investment, whatever. And so we all got this really false sense of security that this is what was going to happen indefinitely. And I think that we've weeded out a lot of the people that were just not ready for the dip in price and were not prepared. But yeah, I mean, learning in this market, learning how to trade this environment, I think, like you said, it's beneficial for the person long term versus just trading in a bull market.
Exactly. Yep.
So I was looking over your live streams, and what I noticed is that you're very honest about like the status of your portfolio, like what you've lost or how well you're doing. And a lot of people are kind of secretive about that. So what made you want to be, I guess, so upfront or not be afraid of being upfront about that?
Because the way I am as a person, I don't like liars. I don't like people that put on like a front. I think it's me as a person. I have to go to sleep every night. And if I'm lying to somebody, if I'm coming on here lying to you or coming on here lying to like whatever, even if it's on Twitter, even if it's somebody with avatar, I don't feel good about it to myself. Like I'm not going to like show my whole entire portfolio, and I'm not going to show everybody every single trade I have. But if I make a wrong call on Twitter, I'm gonna talk about it. If I got super wrecked when I got in. I'm still a bag holder of a lot of things, and I want to be honest. And like I do paid marketing too for companies, that companies reach out to me, and I'm honest about that too, because I don't want someone to come back and be like, oh, she lied about this. Like it's my credibility. It's my face is out there, my name's out there. I have a daughter. Like I don't want. I want her to be proud of me. And if mom's out there not being honest, then I don't want it, I want to teach her to do the right thing. So
no, I hear you. Yeah. And that's why I guess why I brought it up is because the reason behind my name, like Candors, to speak open and honestly, because I'm the same way in my personal life. I'm very upfront, I'm very blunt, sometimes to a fault, but I'd rather be honest with people than get caught in a lie and then feel guilty or whatever. So it's funny because when the SEC started cracking down on YouTubers for not disclosing their sponsored content, I've always disclosed from day one. So I never ran into any problems, but I was like, I don't ever want to be that person that it comes around to bite me, So, and you don't see that. There's some YouTubers that are no longer around now that it's a little less of that, but you don't see that as often, I don't think. And so I was just kind of grateful that somebody else is honest, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, even me, for example, like I feel like YouTube, the people like my subs don't really care so much, but like on Twitter, like if I promote a project, like I'll do like hashtag ad or whatever, but people get really mad. And like from the start, when I first started doing it, I was always honest about it. And like if somebody asked me how much did you make or what, blah, 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 I'll tell them like I don't care. Like this is the agreement with the company. Every company I work with, they know that I'm gonna disclose it. I'm not gonna keep it like. It's out there, it's honest, but there's some people on Twitter that they get really mad and they get really upset and they're like, oh, you're a shiller, you're this. I'm like, no, I'm really not a shiller. I'm not telling you to go buy this project. I'm just talking about the project, and I have a disclaimer. I have an attorney that deals with all that stuff. So.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing, like, I do the same thing. Yes, this is sponsored. Yes, this is like, I've never done like a sponsored tweet, and I'm sure maybe eventually that will happen at some point. But and I always tell the teams too, I'm like, well, anything that we do, anything that you pay me for is going to be fully disclosed. And if anybody wanted to know what I made for X video or whatever, I would be honest too, because eventually it's all going to come out in the wash anyways. Like it's all going to be public knowledge, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was thinking like, cause I just did my website. So I was like, cause I know Crypto Crow, he on his site, it's literally like, it's like one Bitcoin and it's like all over the site. Yeah. So it's really honest and it's really open. And one great thing that he does is like one Bitcoin address that he has, it's listed there. So everybody can go and, check and see. And like
Yeah.
me, I've been paid in like Bitcoin, I've been paid in ETH, I've been paid in like different shit coins.
Yeah, me
So
too.
it's kind of hard, but I think that, I think I might follow his model and just be like, okay, here's the address, whatever. Like, so I'm going to have to figure that. Like, I do have a disclaimer on my website, but then I'm going to kind of I want to make it more like it's easier for people to see, but it's just like, I want to also make it look classy as well. Like,
yeah, it's hard. I know. I balance that too. I made my website maybe more than a couple months ago now. And I, just posted my YouTube videos there and like merch and stuff. And I didn't put I never really thought that anybody would go to it. So I never really put like prices or anything. But then I started getting requests from the actual request form on the website. I'm like, oh, people are actually using this. But I saw your tweet about being frustrated, and I think one of the most difficult things I've had to do recently was build my own website. What did you use? What platform?
I used Squarespace, and it was so difficult because
difficult.
I have all these pages, but now I was like, okay, well, I like it how it scrolls all the way down. How do I do that? And so I have a friend that helped me like with some of it. And he's like, if you want to do, he's like, why didn't you tell me? And I was like, because I didn't know, like, cause I had everything written and I was just like, I just remember I was on Skype with him. I'm like, what do I do? Like, you know, so now if we want to do it, we have to go all the way back. And I'm like, F this.
Yeah, I know. It took me forever. And I didn't realize like how to resize things and then like everything would move and I couldn't get it back to the way it was. I'm like, this is a nightmare. But now that I figured it out, it's a little bit easier. But I looked at it. It looks good considering you struggled with it. So
thank you. I was like, my main thing was getting it on my phone, like having the mobile site be, because that's important. Mostly everybody's using their phone.
Mobile, so. Yeah. Nobody really, I swear, I use my phone for everything. So you're super well spoken and you seem really calm during most of your interviews. So is that something that comes naturally to you? Did you have to work at it? I ask because I have always been a very nervous person. I've always been a very anxious person. And so like interviews with like other content creators, I'm fine. But like if I'm doing like a team interview or a project that's a little bit more structured, that's when I start to get really nervous. And I know that sometimes it definitely shows. So I'm always curious if people seem calm, if it's like a front or if it's real.
Okay, so with me, I actually struggle with like really bad social anxiety and chronic depression and all that stuff. So I actually like when I go into groups of people, I'm a hot mess. I'm very, very insecure. So it's like I used to like be just like when I would go into groups, like before crypto, it was like a mess. So when I first because I went on Crypto Sally's show and we talked about crypto. That was the first show I ever went on. So I was like super, super nervous, but I did okay. And then the more I do it, the better I feel. But sometimes I still feel awkward because it's like some of the people that I'm talking to are like really important people, really awesome people. So it makes me nervous. And then like before I get on a live stream too, like I just started doing those and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm an idiot. But I misspeak a lot. I have a lot of grammar errors. Like I am very nervous 24/7.
Well, that makes me feel better then. So I guess there's hope for me for making it look less obvious. But I agree with you. I think that I probably haven't reached out to like a decent amount of people that are notable in the space because I specifically know that I'm going to be an anxious mess. And like 5 minutes before I stream, every time it's like, why did I do this to myself? Like, why did I agree to do this? And then once I get started, I'm fine. But yeah, I mean, like a long time ago, I did an interview with Charles Hoskinson and I was a nervous freaking wreck the whole time.
Right.
And I keep telling myself, I'm like, well, if I could do that, I could do anything, but it doesn't really seem to work that way.
This is the thing though. You have to like think of it this way. Like you're seasoned. You do really, really awesome on your show. Like the people that I guarantee you the people that you're interviewing or you want to reach out to, they're just as nervous, like or if not more nervous. So I would just like the way that I try to live now, because I used to be really conservative in everything I did, but now when I just reach out, like if I want to talk to somebody or want them on, I'm going to DM them, I'm going to reach out and it works. And like, I am nervous, but I'm just I figure it's like, okay, this is my chance. Like if I don't do this now, when am I going to do it?
Yeah. I also think that like, I was actually having this conversation with my mom recently because she's like, well, you had this other YouTube channel and like, what do you like so much about making crypto videos? I'm like, well, the thing is like crypto is like a level playing field. So like a lot of like gender or race or religion and like none of that stuff gets brought up. None of that stuff is relevant. Nobody cares. And I find that it's so much easier to reach out to people and everybody's just like a Twitter DM away. So it really makes kind of everyone feel like they're equal, which I think is really important. And you can see it in the community too, like the way people usually are pretty respectful to each other, unless of course like, you get people shilling stuff and they get aggressive. But for the most part, I think it's just kind of a community thing, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's why I really, that's one of the things is I love the crypto community. It's a lot different than like if to me it feels like kind of like the music community a little bit, because everybody's always really close and tight knit and everybody knows each other. I feel that's how crypto is. Like when I used to hang out in Hollywood a lot. I grew up there like as an older teen, and it's just like everybody, like you go somewhere, like you go to Ralph's on is it on Sunset? It's Rock and Roll Ralph's, but you go there and everybody would know each other. You go, everyone went to different bars and stuff on Sunset, but everyone knew each other. It was like a big family. I feel like it's the same with crypto, and especially crypto Twitter. Everyone knows each other, and if like you reach out to somebody to come on, they'll come on.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool. I also think it has a lot to do with the fact that it's such a small community of people, and recently because of the bear market, it's gotten even smaller.
Yes.
So I think it's interesting to see who's still around and who's still active. But yeah, it's definitely a good supportive community for the most part, which I'm grateful for. So you have like a ton of stuff going on all the time. So what are conferences that you have upcoming or events and stuff that you're most excited about?
Okay, so I'm like looking at my calendar. So the first event that I have, I'm going to BTC Miami on behalf of Edge Wallet. So I'm excited to go do that. And I'm going to have a meetup. It's probably going to be the 17th. There's a company that I'm waiting. More is going to help me out with my hotel room. So shout out to Morecoin. I'm waiting for a company to get back to me, and they're going to help me with the venue. They're going to buy drinks and stuff for my guests that want to come. So I'm waiting for them. So if you guys are watching this, please get back to me. And then, so I have that, and I have also joined the monetary unit team. So I'm going to be anytime I'm at an event, I'm going to be airdropping tokens and talking a little bit about that project, because they're freaking awesome, and I love what they're doing. I know I want to get them bigger out in the United States and get more awareness onto what they're doing. If you guys are interested, go to Flowbit, sign up for an account, and you can buy things like, you could buy all different types of goods and pay for it in crypto, and you get a discount. And you can, if you don't want to pay it in crypto and hold on to your crypto, you can use your credit card. So there's that. And then I'm going to meet with Ken Bosak. I'm going to go to Philly, and we're going to host a meetup. I'm going to do my first TA basics meetup of the year. So I'm going to go out there and do that. And of course, I'll be airdropping some Mew. And then I don't have any sponsors for that. So if there's any coin companies watching, you guys want to sponsor, that's that.
You still have time.
Yeah. And then I'm going to do a meetup in San Diego probably next month. And then I'm going to speak at Crypto Crows Convention Chainwise in February. So if you guys are interested in that, tickets are like $20, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I actually met Ken not too long ago. I went to a conference in Philly. He is a riot. He's just as funny in real life as he is on Twitter. Like, he's exactly the person you expect he's going to be. Doesn't disappoint, and is super, super nice. So
yeah, he's hilarious. He is freaking hilarious. Like, I hung out with him at WCC. I threw his birthday party, him and Peter McCormick, and then we hung out. I met him first at HoshaCon, and he is like freaking. Or actually, I met him first in LA. I don't remember, but every time I meet him, he's super sweet, and he's a good guy, and he's really, he's out there doing things for the community, and he's freaking awesome.
Yeah, he showed up with Bitcoin socks and a bright pink Bitcoin t-shirt and a hat that was like LED lit up that just like scanned Bitcoin across his head. So, and he like lives strictly on cryptocurrency. He's like almost entirely out of fiat, which I think is pretty remarkable, and I give him a lot of credit for. So he definitely talks the talk and walks the walk, that guy. So, speaking of events, you're always planning and doing stuff, but you'd mentioned, you have a daughter, you're married, you have a family. So how do you balance the two? Because that's got to be pretty difficult.
It is. So my daughter's too. She's freaking awesome, and when she's potty trained, she can come with me to events. So we're working on that. It's hard. My husband is actually an entrepreneur as well. He owns his own electrical contractor business in Southern California. So if anybody needs commercial industrial stuff, let us know. But it's cool because he gets to work for himself, but balancing everything gets to be hard. Like my daughter, she's 2. She's at the age where I can work from home with her. Like she does go to daycare when I'm in school. And so that's helpful because there's, some of the days I'm not in school that I get to put her in daycare. So that works. But then when I travel, like my mom will come stay and watch her. But so balancing everything gets to be a little hard and complicated. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's either I'm doing this full time or I go to a 9 to 5 and I'm away from her for like 50 hours a week.
Yeah.
And I don't see my baby. Like when I worked in healthcare, The days I worked, I saw her 20 minutes in the morning time, and when I would get home at night, I didn't see her because she was sleeping.
Well,
So
that, and it's like, I mean, I at least speaking from my experience, depending on the day, I mean, I work at a psychiatric hospital, so depending on the day, like some days are okay, and then other days are
mhm.
completely exhausting. So like coming home, like I can barely make myself dinner, let alone if I had a kid. I can only imagine like how much other responsibilities and everything else that you've going on. So that's pretty cool that you've been able to find a balance, though. But I agree with you. I mean, it's nice to have the option to be able to work from home and once in a while have to go to conferences, but mostly still be home.
Yeah, I mean, it does get busy, but it's worth it because the way that I'm looking at it now, I'm looking at it from an entrepreneur standpoint. Like anything you want, like you have to work for it. Like even when you're in school and you're going to school for a specific position somewhere or for a job, you need training. You need to kind of learn and put your work in. There's no way that you're gonna like, that you're gonna just jump into an industry and be at the top. Like I have a lot to grow. I have a lot to grow. I have a lot to learn. There's things I need to do. And part of me going to these conferences is really the networking. There's a
Yeah.
lot of networking that goes on. And it's important for me because I meet companies, I meet people, and then they're like, oh, I know Wendy. Do you want, she does X, Y, and Z. She does marketing, she does consulting. So then I get work that way. So it is super helpful. I don't go to every single conference that I'm invited to, because if I did, I would not see my family.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's important for my growth because I am lucky, I am able to get sponsors, but I mean, I need to put the work in now. And I mean, when I'm talking about putting the work in, we are in a bear market. Like marketing is hard. Like
Yeah.
I got a paid gig last week, but it's like prior to that, I didn't have a paid gig for 2 weeks. So it's like, it comes and it goes. But at the same time, like if I can pull this off in a bear market, I can do this in a bull market and I can continue to do it. So it's really about growing. And, if crypto doesn't end up working out for me, there's so many skills and things that I'm learning in this industry that I could apply anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, I've been having this conversation too recently with a lot of people because everybody's like, oh, crypto's down. Why are you still making videos? Like my family and stuff. I'm like, well, I look at it this way. I'm building up sort of like a living resume. That's what YouTube basically is. And so when everybody
Mm-hmm.
starts to flush back in, I'm going to have months and months of showing what I was doing over the course of the time that the market wasn't doing so great. And I also have faith in the tech and the space and all the people in this entire movement. So I don't think it's going anywhere. And so because of that, I don't really see a reason to stop doing what I'm doing. And as long as I can not burn out from working and doing this, I think I'll be okay.
Yeah, I enjoy doing the YouTube stuff, and I enjoy traveling, and I enjoy meeting people and talking to people that are like-minded. And you don't and some of the, like working a 9 to 5, because I worked for big corporate, and when I first got in, they were like grassroots. Like I don't know, people might not be aware, but like the HIV/AIDS community, most people that are struggling with that, it's part of the gay community, and the gay community is like super, super tight knit. Like if you are a part of their community and you like straight, gay, like whatever, but if you're a part of the community and you support them, they take you in your family. Like, so I'm used to that type of mentality. So I feel that's the same way in crypto. But as my company began to grow and it became from this really amazing grassroots place that provided really excellent care and helped people navigate the system, it turned into this big corporation and it started becoming about numbers. And it really, really sucked because it was really hard for me to continue to deal with that, and just to see that. And I see crypto, like it's so, even though it's been around for 10 years, I feel like it's still new enough to where we can, we have a say, and we can, make it grow a certain way, like kind of water it and feed it a certain way. And I want to see, like, obviously there will be corporations and traditional finance will get involved in stuff like that, but like we're here so early that we can build things that matter. And that's what I want to do, is I want to build a marketing firm that's like the go-to marketing firm for companies all different sizes that want transparent marketing and want things done to a certain standard. And that's what I want to do. And so,
well, the best part about it is, like you said, everything is so new. We can water what we want, and we're all creating these little like niches for ourselves, right? So the coolest part is that because it's such a small community and we're all kind of carving out our own places, once it grows, that subset of people or that subset of whatever we're doing is only going to get bigger and more fine-tuned and whatever. So it's cool to get it now kind of at the ground floor, and then as things grow, we can all grow with it, which is...
or modify accordingly. Like for example, I think it was Trading Room app on Twitter, but he said something, I forgot what the conversation was, but I was like, it was about projects or something. I says, really as a community, we've really stood together and like told ICOs like to GFY, like we're not going to invest in you anymore. We're not going to do it. You guys need to be better, or you need to change your format. So ICOs, we're going to start seeing them phase out a little bit. We're going to see more crowdfunding, and we're going to see STOs and different stuff like that. So as a community, we've already done that, and we're able to do that. And as far as regulation goes, that's another thing that's coming. But a lot of people don't know this. So anytime I'm able to talk about it, if you guys are in the United States and you want to see some sort of changes, especially with crypto, you can go on the SEC website and they have a place for comments, and you can submit comments, and by the law of the United States, SEC has to read it. So when you're commenting, comment with educated things. Don't say Bitcoin to the moon or moon Lambo. Comment with educated things, because they have to read it. If talk to your local government. Talk, if you really care about change, do that. Like that we especially smaller city governments, they're going to listen because they want your vote.
Yeah.
So, that's how we can start implementing change and doing stuff like that. So
that's interesting. I didn't know that about the website. I guess I probably should have, but I definitely didn't.
No, but I had a gentleman on. His name is Jonathan, and I don't remember his last name, but I have a video. He was a former SEC advisor, and I forgot exactly what he's doing now. I'll have to repost the video, but he's really awesome, and you should contact him and get him on and talk to him. He'd probably love to come on your show. But he was saying that you can go on the SEC website and type stuff, and they have to read it because it's part of law, or I forget what law it is, but it's part of it. That's their job. They have somebody that's really reading that. So if we can submit educated
responses
things,
or anything,
then somebody is going to see that, and if enough of us do that, then it's good. And like I said, reach out to your local Congress people or lawmakers or whatever, and talk to them about the benefits of using crypto. Like they're doing that in Wyoming, they're doing that in another states. So somebody somewhere had to have said something. So do something positive.
Absolutely, I agree with you. So what does your family think of crypto? Because I know in one of your most recent streams you mentioned that your sister thinks it's a scam.
Yeah. So my sister Adele, I love her so much, but she's not convinced. She's just like, she just doesn't understand it. And she's like one of the smartest people I know. Like this kid, like she can literally pick up like a violin and like teach herself to play it, but she's just not set on it yet. Yeah. So, I mean, she's not too into it. My mom's kind of into it, but it's kind of like, like whatever. My younger sister wants to get into it, but she wants me to trade for her and do everything. I'm like, no. Yeah. My husband market buys shit coins, and it drives me crazy. It drives me crazy. But my family is pretty supportive. They know what I do and stuff. But
yeah, my mother is interested, but doesn't want to take the time to learn. My older brother's the same way. My boyfriend basically has gotten to the point where any purchase I make, he just shadow buys whatever it is that I'm buying. So like I don't do it for him, but he just pretty much doesn't do anything on his own. He just follows my suit. So whatever. I mean, it works. But that's funny. So I have 2 or 3 actually community submissions. So from Claudio on Twitter, he wants to know, when you're opening a position for a long-term coin, what is the process that you follow? What's the most important step in that process?
So a lot of my long-term positions, I'm kind of slowly becoming a maximalist over a period of time, because I've just seen so many alts not do well. There's so many projects that I wanted to really, really do well. So if I'm going to open a long-term position, and people that are miners that are strongly believe in mining, because a lot of the new mining coins, they don't have working products yet. But if I'm really going to invest in something long-term, I want to see an actual product, something that I can use this for, because all these coins are essentially like utility tokens kind of. So I need to see something important. And when I have a video on my YouTube that talks about how to get dumped on in a bear market and like to accumulate correctly. But literally you set buys at the lowest support and you just wait. And that's how I accumulate coins that I like, and with Bitcoin, I'm scaling in and I'm just buying more and more at, various supports and whatnot. So that's how I look at it. But if you're going to invest in any altcoin, just always do your own research. Never listen to what I say or anybody else says. Just please do your own research, and it needs to make sense to you.
I forget what the guy's name is, but he's the one that does the Coin Mastery YouTube.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. But
I saw him in person, but I can't remember what his name is. And and he when I used to listen to when I was interested in trading and I used to listen to his live streams, he'd always mention like put buy orders like in asinine places that you'll never expect the price to go because you just never know. Like you could have a flash crash overnight, something ridiculous could happen. And if it's there, and you catch it and you'll be really grateful. But if you miss it, you're going to be pissed at yourself.
Well, this is the thing is you can scale in. Like what I'll do is I'll do like a fib retracement at the lowest level and I'll pull it up and I'll see what the major supports are. And then I'll scale in and I'll place orders there so I don't miss it. But another really good strategy is if you really want to buy a coin and you're scared you're going to miss out and you FOMO in, use like 10% of your stack that you were going to invest in market buy just so you feel like you're not missing out. And then set really low bids. Bear market, I don't think is over, and I think that we need to be patient and just kind of wait because every time we get this little baby pump, we get like a relief pump and it goes up and then it dumps again. So be careful. 32 is a really, really interesting support area. So
yeah, I know. I think that's the thing is that people are so hoping, right, that the price goes back up to where it was, that like any glimpse of hope, everybody's like, yeah, bull market, whatever, and then it comes crashing back down. But I agree with you. I think we're far, far from being out of the woods, unfortunately. And I have absolutely nothing to back that up because I don't do TA, but I just feel like the market sentiment and, you know, the lack of ICOs, currently no real STOs, and like just everything's very quiet. And I think we're just kind of in a hibernation at the moment. But yeah, I guess time will tell.
I agree. And also, too, you're talking about not having any background in TA or whatever. Intuition is also, I was talking about this with Bleeding Crypto earlier, and having intuition sometimes helps. Like there's some people that are really good at gambling, like playing cards and poker and stuff. You need to have good intuition to do that. So that also, I mean, obviously knowing the fundamentals is important, but you can also use a little bit of intuition. Some of the support and resistance lines that I draw out aren't necessarily like the best ones, but they just, to me, they click and they make sense. Yeah. So I use those a lot with my fibs, and it ends up working out really well.
I mean, whatever works, right? Everybody's got their own method.
Right.
So Links Whale wants to know, also on Twitter, wants to know what was your best and worst trade, I guess.
Okay. My best trade ever was Verge when I first got into crypto out of dumb luck because I didn't know, and it pumped like 10 times and I did pretty well on that. My worst trade was Kin.
Me too. I'm still in that.
I bought Kin and I was like really impatient because it wasn't pumping, and it was the same thing. It was like maybe like January, February when a couple months after. So I was like, F this. And so I panic sold at a loss. And then I took the money and I wanted to put it in OMG, and then I was going to wait for that to go up and make my money back. So I just threw it in there. I was trying to do this swing trade. I didn't know what I was doing. Maybe it was January. It was something like that. And then I ended up putting in the wrong amount of sats and I sold for a loss and I just got super wrecked. So.
Yep. I fat fingered something in the past too, but I definitely did that where I would like flip flop, and I would flip flop in and out of trades and not realize that I was actually messing myself up because I was trading in USD, not realizing that the Bitcoin price was different.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That took me a real long time to grasp. And then once I figured that out, the good old days, I was like, wait a second, why do I have less than I started with? Yeah. So that
it happens. That's all part of learning though.
Yeah. That's why I stopped trading. So Claudio, also from Twitter, wants to know what your favorite beer is.
805. They all know that.
Well, see, so that was a
It is made on the Golden Coast or the Central Coast. It's amazing. Go buy it, and I hope Firestone Walker sponsors me one day.
Fingers crossed, right? So that's all the questions I have for you. Do you have anything else you want to add? Anything you want to say?
No, but if you guys are watching and you'd like to support, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It is like a nightmare trying to grow it right now.
It's hard.
It's hard. So if you guys want to do that, support me on Twitter, follow me. And then I have my website. If you guys want to check that out, I talk about, just different marketing services I offer in the space, and mostly just a little bit about myself. I probably will add more, but if you guys have any questions or TA questions, get at me at Twitter, and I'm always happy. I check my DMs like once a week. So I'm always happy to answer those when I can.
I also actually, for anybody that's curious, her YouTube and her Twitter are in the video description. So go subscribe. It is very difficult. I lucked out. I started the channel when we were in a bull run, and because of that, it grew quick. But everybody's stagnant. I mean, I'm like moving at a snail's pace. But once the market comes back, everything will increase.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, of course. It was a pleasure.
Awesome.
And maybe we can do this again at some point.
Awesome. Yeah, maybe I'll have to have you on, but I got to get more comfortable with like all my stuff.
Sorry, I hear you. But it was nice to meet you. And
Nice
yeah,
to
I'll
meet you
talk to you
too.
soon.
Okay, thanks for having me. Bye.